Let's be real. You're not dying in ArenaBreakout because you're unlucky. You're dying because you're making the same mistakes every single raid. And most players don't even notice them. They blame the desync, they blame gear, they blame luck. But the truth is simple. There are patterns in your gameplay that are getting you killed. And they are the same patterns almost every player struggles with. Today I want to break those patterns one by one, showing you exactly why you die and how to prevent it. Apply these, your raids will change, ignore them, and you'll keep repeating the same cycle of early death. But first, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Top Up Live, the best website for topping up your ArenaBreakout accounts, faster than everyone else, cheaper, and 100% safe. There's tons of discounts on their website, tons of different payment methods, and on top of that, if you use code 762, you can get another 12% off, which would be almost 20% cheaper than in-game bonds. So if you wanted to buy cases, battle pass, bonds, or anything else, make sure to check him out. Thanks to Top Up Live for sponsoring this video. And now let's start with the first mistake that kills more players than almost anything else. When you're sprinting anywhere, you're not just moving faster, you're broadcasting your position to everyone around you. Imagine this, you enter a building full of loot and you sprint from room to room. Every footstep echoes, every door creaks, and anyone nearby knows exactly where you are. Most players think sprinting is efficient. It's not. I've lost countless raids to exactly this simple mistake. One wrong sprint and your whole team gets wiped instantly, because I didn't control my sound. The smarter approach is controlled movement. Walk when you're approaching unknown areas. Crouch or stop briefly or act like a bot to clear corners. Sprint only to rotate between objects or escape danger. Sprinting is a tool, not a default. Controlled movement keeps you alive and gives you an advantage before every fight even starts. Now, of course, it doesn't mean, okay, I spawned and now let's walk the whole game. You can, or I should say you should, sprint to cover or high loot areas. Controlled movement is simply entering a compound or going to where people usually hold angles, while doing the fake sprint thing where you run and you go back to the cover and then you push again. Because it's AP, people hold angles and it's not TPP, so you don't know what's going on across the wall. They might be holding an angle close, they might be peeking with a sniper, they might be in the wide open. Anything is possible, so you don't just run, you move controlled. Now that you're controlling your movement, let's talk about how you're exposing yourself while peeking. Most players die because they hold angles for too long. You see someone, you line up your shots, and you think, I've got this. But if you hold that angle for more than a second, you're giving your opponent time to adjust, aim, and pre-fire. I've watched players stand half exposed around the corner, thinking they're sneaky. A second later, they're dead. In ArenaBreakout, peeks need to be tactical, quick exposure, quick fire, and then immediately cover. Treat every peek like a snapshot, not a standoff. Don't fight for information, fight for survival. The less time your body is exposed, the higher your survival rate. And remember this, a well-timed shot beats a long peek every single time. And speaking of survival, your hearing might be more important than your aim. Let's cover the next critical mistake. Sound is one of the strongest tools in ArenaBreakout, but most players don't use it correctly. They hear a single footstep and they think it's safe, or they confuse sounds from different floors or react too late. Let me be clear, ignoring sound kills you. I've been in rooms where one step revealed and the entire team showed up. If you're not listening, you are blind. And here's how to fix it. Slow down and isolate sound. Pause, listen, identify the direction and the number of enemies. That extra 2 seconds of awareness will save more raids than perfect aim ever will. Combine this with controlled movement from mistake number 1 and suddenly you're reacting, not being surprised. Now that you can move quietly, hear enemies before they hear you, let's talk about the picking fights. This is where most players get greedy. You don't need to fight every enemy to win the raid. ArenaBreakout isn't about ego, it's about survival. Most players see an enemy and instantly engage, regardless of positioning, gear, or numbers. That's how you die. I've watched players chase one target only to get flanked by the teammate they never saw. The smartest players fight on their own terms. They know when to engage and when to disengage. You have to assess every single situation before committing. Can you rotate safely? Is the enemy stronger? Sometimes ignoring a fight is a smarter choice. Survival beats kills every single time. And this ties directly to another big problem, loot addiction. One kill does not mean the area is safe. Most players die looting. They kill target and immediately crouch over the body, scanning inventory instead of scanning their surrounding. That's a free kill. Countless times I killed players I wanted to loot and the duo pushed me and got me while I was distracted. You can't multitask like that in ArenaBreakout. And if you want to fix that, secure the area first. Clear every angle, watch every flank. then loot. You have to treat loot as a secondary priority after survival. I know it's tempting to grab everything, but uncontrolled looting is how you feed every squad in the area. But here's the thing. If you can't get kills, you can't loot. You need a perfect aim to kill, but even if your aim is perfect, using the wrong ammo can still get you killed. Let's go to mistake number 6. Your aim might be good, but the bullets you choose matter more. Low penetration ammo against armor is a death sentence. Perfect headshots? They do nothing. I've lost fights where every shot was hit, but the enemy's armor shrugged it off. That's not bad aim, it's bad ammo choice. Know which round penetrates the armor you expect to face. If your lobbies are stacked, why not bring in T5 or T6 bullets? Bring ammo suited to your lobbies, not just cheap or convenient. The right ammo often decides fights more than skill alone. And the thing is, ammo is useful only if you know where you're going, which brings us to mistake number 7. Most players load in with 0 plans. They wander, react, and hope for the best. That's how you walk straight into squads who do have plans. Before spawning, know your route, where high traffic areas are, where the loot is, and most importantly, where your extraction point is. A map plan reduces hesitation and makes rotations safe. I've seen players run into heavy zones without realizing a squad is already controlling the area, with a plan of course. You avoid these situations entirely and make smarter engagements. And finally, even with the movement, sound, ammo, and planning, many players die because they tunnel vision on one target. Tunnel vision kills. You see one enemy and suddenly your whole world shrinks. You chase, you focus, and then a second player flanks you. And now you're down before you even know what hit you. You have to maintain map awareness. Always scan for the threats. Fight one enemy but watch the environment. Don't let a single target control your entire focus. This is the tip I saved for last and the most important one. Everything we've talked about matters, but this one is about how you approach the game, how you think about every decision you make. Listen closely, because this is what separates the good players from great ones. I see a lot of crybabies in ArenaBreakout more than I've seen in any other game. I get it, losing your stuff is frustrating and it's natural to be upset. But here's the thing, there are hundreds of reasons you could make for excuses. You can blame ratting, your gear, the enemy's gear, or any other number of situations. The point is, making excuses won't help you improve or get better. Now for example, I asked the player why he died, and he said, well, I was T4. So I said, okay, try T6. Then he said, T6 is no skill. Then I asked him, okay, so why did you die? Is it because of your skills or because you were T4? And of course, he had to admit it was because he was T4. That alone shows that T6 is not no skill. Think of it like football. Without the right shoes, the right field, or even the right ball, you can't pass, shoot, or dribble properly. But you don't say professional athletes have skill issues just because they have the best equipment. You focus on skill. ArenaBreakout works the same way. Excuses don't make you better. Skill, mindset, and effort do. If you want to play T4 and get killed by T6s, you can't just make excuses like, well, I was only T4, or I would have won if I had better bullets. Because nothing is stopping you from improving your gear, your approach, and your gameplay. And yet some players just turn around and say, you only win because you're T6. When you point out you can do the same, they say, well, if I do, I just get poor. That's a paradox. Double standards like that don't help anyone. Excuses like this are just mental escapes from your own mistakes. And here's another thing I hear all the time. They're like, but I just want to survive. What about the survival? Look, what you're doing there is not surviving, it's ratting. Surviving means you're in a dangerous situation, making real decisions under pressure. Hiding in a corner and avoiding fights and farming easy loot is not surviving. It's ratting. There's a huge difference. How about this? I promise, if you play T6 and actually fight teams, it's much harder, much more dangerous, and much more survival oriented than hiding in a corner. Equipment, strategy, awareness, it all matters. Again, excuses are only a mental escape from recognizing your mistakes. If you take your time and consider what went wrong, understand it and correct it, you improve. If you shrug it off and just complain or cry, nothing changes. Yes, not having T6 can be a limitation, but how you handle it, your decisions, your mindset, is what makes the difference. And that was it for today's video. Thanks for watching it till the end. Love you all. See you in a bit.